When I talked to the fellow when they came out to burn it, I was like, what the heck is going on? And he explained to me it costs $3,500 a person for those young people to be trained on fire, and that the city of Lorain purchased this house and gifted it to Tri-C. And I was like, well, if my city has money, to buy houses and give them to people to burn down on a street where there isn't an empty house, why didn't they give it to somebody to fix up and live in?
No doubt.
Am I correct? And he's like, of course he was just the head of the thing, and he's like, I understand. He says, I live on a street just like this in Lakewood. And he says, I wouldn't want it in my community. There's no objections. I'm like, look around you. The people across the street need the garage fixed. People down the street, have a daycare, There are people on this street that have, things that they're doing that maybe they shouldn't be doing. And if you, in any way, make a ruckus at City Hall, you're...
Right.
Yeah, you're victimized. Do you know? Honestly and truly, I can't. I gotta send this to a lawyer. They can't victimize me. Do you know what I mean? Not anymore. But then, to disrupt a class with 30, with students who might potentially save my life. You know what I mean? But, he said, well, I knocked on your door, and we passed out flyers. I was like, that's not enough. I have councilmen. I says I should have got a letter in the mail so that I would have opened it up. I wouldn't have allowed this. But I thought they were just going to burn it a couple times. They came back again and again and again, and because of the artists that came, which was a good thing about it, the only good thing that came out of it, that there's something, perhaps that will inspire somebody else, But, that they burn it all to hell in a freaking handbasket.
Well, how many times did they burn this house?
6 times.
Wow.
6 times. And the fellow who was in charge of it from Tri-C suggested it's a very, very solid house, in good shape. And this fellow Howard from downtown, his name's Goldberg, I don't know him personally. I've seen some white man in a red truck that didn't look like he belonged in my neighborhood taking pictures around here, and this was last year. And he told me, oh, I'm going to buy these houses and knock them down and put up nice little houses on Reed Avenue. Those brand new houses. I was like, that's not acceptable to me or most people in my neighborhood. There's nothing wrong with these houses. This was just occupied. Why don't you just fix them up and sell them at a decent price to people who pay taxes in our city and our town? Because everybody who's moved out because they've lost it by foreclosure is living somewhere. You know what I mean? They're piled up in a family's house. Oh, he's Ron Meyer Goldberg's nephew. Of course, he didn't give me his first name then. You know what I mean? And we do this and we do that, and there's asbestos and there's this and there's that. It's like, don't pull me around by my nose, okay? I know a roof is made out of asbestos. I know my house is sided with asbestos. You know what I mean? And, people talk around you like you don't know what you're talking about. You know where I'm coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And which, bothered me. Well, he came out here, and so he was in those poor artists up their butt. And they're like...
What kind of artists?
Come here. Graphic artists. This was at the last minute, before the last burn. A fellow by the name of Ian and a whole team of people. They came and they painted through the day and in the middle of the night on the side here, and it's a videographic art project that they're working on. They're going to be doing video art on the side of multiple houses. And actually, Mr. Goldberg offered them 91 houses in the city of Lorain that he intends on burning that they can paint on the side of. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was a skull. It was a little bit morbid, but it wasn't a skull, on purpose. This is his first picture, so it was under the skin, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
That's where we start at. So, I'm sure his other things were projected. They're very decent people. Like I said, Mr. Goldberg, they said we're up his butt and having them take him up and down on the lift. You know what I mean? Kind of like interfere with their work all day long. And then to the fire department, he claimed, oh, you know what I mean? I don't know anything about it. I'm sure one of these people here, Brian down the street was the one who helped the artist, get the lift and support him. I brought him some coffee in the middle of the night. And
can we walk around back?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Sure.
And
but look, they burnt. Oh, they chopped the roof up. They were good windows in here, new windows in here. And I said, you guys didn't even take the windows out. Give anything to Habitat for Humanity. Before you burn it. Or why don't you just burn it a few times and donate it to Habitat for Humanity? And how Mr. Goldberg said, oh, I personally inspected this house. And I know it's not worth living in. It's terrible. Have you ever been in it? I was like, yeah, I've been in it many times. I enjoyed the beautiful woodwork inside of it. I know the new windows that were put in it. I know it needed some work on the kitchen. Oh, there wasn't any plumbing. There wasn't any cabinets. I was like, dude, now you're lying through your teeth. I was here when the truck came and they pulled up the dumpster and they were cutting out the electricity. They sawed up the claw bathtub in half and threw it out the front window. They
Wow.
charge, they're $500 at the Habitat for Humanity secondhand. And oh my goodness.
That's unreal. I
Yeah.
can't believe they did this to your neighborhood.
Yes, not an empty house on this street. A beautiful neighborhood. I bought my house 13 years ago. My house is a beat-up old house. It was a rental for 23 years before I moved into it. When I say I own it, I mean I own it. You know what I mean? I don't know anybody on it. I mean I own the house. So I'm going to live here, you know what I mean, until I die. Here Brian lives 2 houses over. He bought his house. He's living there. My neighbor on the other side, the elder lady Betty, who was very distraught about this as well. It interfered with her breathing on a regular basis. But, again, you feel a loyalty to your local fire department, even though it wasn't our fire department. They were going to hire 2 people from that group, to work for us. But this violates me as a citizen. It violates me as a neighbor. Just complete disrespect, you know what I mean, for the
Absolutely.
values of the home. You know what I mean? Well, don't let them burn one in your neighborhood. This is a beautiful neighborhood. And then Howard Goldberg was like, oh, there's empty spaces all over the place. I was like, not on this street. And he points at this house right here because the lady's not living there. And actually, she was fighting to save her house. She has a debilitating illness. Howard Goldberg was the fellow who that was the fellow's name who said, oh, we're going to do this, going to do that. Oh, and by the way, the houses that the city bought, they bought it with federal funding. And he said anybody can buy them. He says, you could have bought this house. He says, all you had to do was make an offer. I was like, at $37,000. I couldn't afford to buy the house. He's like, well, we bought houses for a few $1,000s all over the city. I bet you did. I bet you put pressure all over the place to purchase them, but you didn't purchase them to gift to somebody. He's like, no, these houses all have to be fixed up, and they have to be fixed up by code. It costs us $3,000 for a permit to test for lead, and every house built underneath of below 1978 has to be tested for lead. Who in their right mind is going to pay $30,000 for a kid to test a house for lead? Baloney. I never... that's a scam. He's like, yes, and, people will have to follow the book. There are laws, you know what I mean? Good union workers should be fixing these houses up, and I'm thinking, good union workers, so you purchased them so somebody couldn't buy them themselves and live in them. No, they have to purchase them, give a plan to when it's going to start being fixed up. He said give a plan when it's going to be finished fixed up, and after it's approved, then they can live in them. So that knocks you out, or that knocks me out. Because, a normal family needs a roof over their head. Unless you've got extra money or you're buying them, you know what I mean, to flip them over, you're not going to be able to do that, are you?